In this video, we'll be discussing 8.8, asking for a sign. So in the book, their big stress is not to just finger spell all the time, but to ask for a sign using different variations of using what you already know to incorporate and get information for things you don't know. Okay, so strategies for asking for a sign. In ASL 2, it gives us 4 of those. None of them are finger spelling, so make that note. Okay, so first you can list things that are in a category. Okay, so whenever you think of things that are in a category, then you can name off each of those things, and then that person can come to the conclusion of one that's missing. Okay, you can also use opposites to be able to give something that you do know to ask for the sign for something you don't know. You can describe it, or you can act it out, or you can give the definition of what that means, okay? So, for example, and this is also really helpful in real life as well, not just because the book said it, but if you think about this, if you are asking for, here's an example that I've heard before. So if a person is somewhere and they are watching the interpreter, and the person speaking is talking about welfare. Okay, there's 2 types of welfare. So there's welfare this way, welfare, so it's this motion, okay? So welfare, it means to be getting government benefits, money from the government this way, okay? So that is one type of welfare. But the other type of welfare is something more like for the good of others or for their benefit. Okay, so in this, if I asked a person and said, what's the sign for welfare? And then they gave me this one, then that would be incorrect. So I'd still have to explain what welfare means to be able to find out what the sign is. Okay, I've actually never seen a sign specifically for welfare in that regard. It would be translated to the benefit or the good, something like that. But that's an example where you'd be able to kind of explain what the definition of welfare means, or maybe you're clarifying between the person's reading something and they see the word welfare and they're thinking, oh, government benefits to be on welfare, when it's actually talking about the good of others, things like that. Okay, so for that, then you would give the definition. Let's try a couple of these. Let's try listing opposites. Let's say you want to know the sign for girl. So instead of going to your professor or asking a deaf person saying, or, okay, then you would say, okay, so what is the opposite of boy? Oh, girl. Okay, stop. Okay, or what's the opposite of large? Small. What's the opposite of day? Night. Okay, so what's the opposite of front? Back. Okay, so that gives you some ideas. Another one that you can do is that you can list things in the category. Okay, for example, I have never seen a sign for chores, so instead of spelling out chores each time, or if I need to clarify what are chores, I said, oh, this morning I did my chores, or I wrote out a chore chart of all the things that my kids need to do. Okay, so for this one, then I can give things in the category. So I can say chores, okay, so clear what that is, and I can say, dusting, sweeping, vacuuming, dishes, wash, clothes, wash. And so I can give different things, and then the person would be like, oh, okay, I know what you're talking about, chores, okay? Another one that you can do is that you can act out what it is, okay? See if you can get this one, okay? So if I can back up a little bit here. Okay, so I can talk about milking the cow and ask you what's in the bucket that I'm looking at. I can describe it a little bit more even, give you more information about it, the fact that it's white, the fact that I'm putting it up to my mouth to drink it. Okay, it's milk. So for each of these, remember that there's 4 ways that you can ask for a sign, 4 different strategies. So those are listing the things in that category, using the opposites, describing or acting out something, or giving the definition of it. So remember, none of those will include finger spelling, just those 4. Keep up the good work.